So there was a recent vote on the Trans-Pacific Partnership, specifically the Trade Promotion Authority that, of course, passed the Senate. Now, The Guardian did a report, and they looked at some of the last-ditch efforts to get Democrats on board to vote for this. As I said, it wouldn't pass the Senate without Democratic support. Nearly all Republicans, I think all Republicans, were in favor of TPA in the Senate, of giving Obama the authority, of course, to put the TPP up for a vote without adding amendments, without being able to filibuster. It's an up or down vote for the Trans-Pacific Partnership. All the Republicans are in favor, but they still needed votes from Democrats. Well, in comes the lobbying money. Here comes the avalanche of money. Now, as I said, The Guardian looked at this, and they took a look at the money trail going to different politicians that changed their vote. Now, they said using data from the Federal Election Commission, there was a chart that shows all donations that corporate members of the U.S. Business Coalition for the Trans-Pacific Partnership made to U.S. Senate campaigns between January and March 2015, when, of course, fast-tracking the TPP was being debated in the Senate. Out of the total of $1,148,971 given, an average of $17,666 was donated to each of the 65 yeah votes. The average Republican member received about $19 million from corporate TPP supporters. The average Democrat received $9,689.23 from those same donors. Now, obviously, you look at the disparity here. 9,000 versus 19,000. And I mistakenly said 19 million. I meant 19,000. Apologies. Now, those same donors. That's a difference. And most Republicans, of course, bought and sold wholesale by multinational corporations. We all know that. But also, there are Democrats that are also bought and sold. And this is how Washington works. You want something to get through, you turn on that money spigot. And that's exactly what they did here. For example, also, before I get into that, I have to note that the amounts will rise dramatically, and this makes sense, this makes all the sense in the world, when looking at how much each senator running for re-election receives. So if you are running for re-election or getting ready to run for re-election, you got an election coming, you're going to receive more money from corporate sponsors. Now, of course, in the Senate, 94% of the time, money, the amount of money, determines whether or not you are re-elected or elected to the Senate. 94% of the time. Does it not make sense, these numbers, when you think about how much lobbying these corporations do and how much money, of course, that these Democrats, these Republicans, these politicians will receive from these corporations, and then how that leads them to do the bidding of these corporations, especially when it comes to bad trade deals like the TPP. Now, the Guardian article continues. It says 2 days before the fast-track vote, Obama was a few votes shy of having the filibuster-proof majority he needed. Ron Wyden and 7 other state Democrats announced that they were on the fence. Now, of course, in just 24 hours, Wyden and 5 of those Democratic holdouts, Michael Bennet, Dianne Feinstein, Claire McCaskill, Patty Murray, and Bill Nelson, caved and voted for fast track. Caved? Not so much. More like bought, in my opinion. And it's not just my opinion. There's money here. Follow the money. Bennet, Murray, and Wyden, all running for re-election in 2016, received $105,900 between the 3 of them. Bennet comes from Colorado, got $53,700 in corporate campaign donations between January and March 2015, according to this research. Almost 100% of Republicans in the Senate voted for fast track. The only 2 non-votes were a Republican for Louisiana and a Republican from Alaska. So, obviously, we know the Republicans are going to get a lot of money here. For example, Rob Portman, who is a representative from Ohio, he received $119,700 from 14 different corporations between that same time period, most of which comes from Goldman Sachs, Pfizer, Procter & Gamble, and Procter & Gamble. And he is, of course, also running for re-election. So you have this trail of money, this trail of lobbying. If they want something passed, they turn on that money and they target people who are running for re-election, because money ultimately wins the day. This is why Congress and the government are rigged against us and for corporations. Of course, it gets into Republicans, which I'm not going to get into how much they're bought off, because we already know they're intensely corrupt, and they work for the multinational corporations more than anything. They're a wholly owned subsidiary. So I'm not into that. But I wanted to get into the Democrats, the ones who flipped their vote, and they flipped it because they got paid.